These two boys named Denzel and JJ have been kind of following us and hanging out with us that day.
We were down by a creek, and he and JJ were off exploring, and the next thing we knew, we heard shouting and angry little kid voices.
All of a sudden we heard like screaming and stuff, and I turned around and like they were like throwing rocks at each other and like wrestling.
It turns out that somebody had chucked a rock at somebody else and they got mad and started fighting. And they were friends.
Philip took Denzel and like he went over and talked to him, and I took JJ. Turns out that JJ didn't have a dad as well as Denzel, and so that was like it was kind of sad to hear.
I talked to Denzel about being a good friend and how even though good friends fight, it's nothing to hold a grudge about.
I was like, oh, JJ, you gotta go up to Denzel and like apologize. And he was like, no, I'm so scared. I don't wanna get hurt again. But he just like screams like, I'm sorry, and he rides off on his bike. I really wanted to just like bring him back and like pour God's love on him and like just give him a big huge hug and like tell him how much God loves him and that God's always gonna be there for him and be that father figure in his life and protect him wherever he goes.
We got to talking more, and I asked him more about his family and stuff like that, and he said that his dad had died, and that just really hit home, especially with the fatherhood of God teaching. After we got back from the creek, he and I went and sat at the baseball diamond, and we talked about being a Christian and about how God can be a father to him. I asked him and told him more about what being a Christian meant, and I'm like, are you really a Christian? Do you really live that kind of life? And he said no. And so he and I prayed there on the bleachers to the baseball field, and he accepted Christ and got saved.